I would like to leave this city. This old town don't smell too pretty, and I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. And when I leave this island, I book myself into a soul asylum, 'cause I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. So here I go, still scratching around in the same old hole. My body feels young, but my mind is very old. So what do you say? You can't give me the dreams in a mind anyway. Half the world away, half the world away, half the world away. I've been lost, I've been found, but I don't feel bad.
Good day, good evening, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world. You're listening to the Half the World Away Celtic podcast from HailHailMedia. My name's Kevin O'Neill and I'm based in Mandurah, Western Australia, originally from Coatbridge. And as always, joined all the way over on the other side of Australia in Melbourne, Victoria, good friend and housewife's favourite, Mr. Patrick Close, originally from Airdrie. Good day, Pat.
Oh, you almost missed that, Kev. You almost missed the originally from Airdrie bit. How are we?
I'm not bad, mate. You?
Aye, not too bad, not too bad. It's getting winter time over here, Kev. How's Perth at the moment? Are you getting chilly?
It honestly is. I don't like saying this in case Stevie Fallon's or Tim Lynch are listening back at any time, because I always get tore into them about the crappy weather in Melbourne, but and the beautiful weather in Perth. But I must admit, the last few days it's been lousy here. It's been rainy, it's been cloudy, it's been overcast. Still about mid-20s during the day, right enough, in terms of temperature. But yeah, it's been pretty rainy. And that's due to continue over the weekend. It's not meant to be nice and sunny again until next week. But the whole of next week is going to be beautiful and sunny again. But yeah, you can definitely feel a change in the air, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, the clock's changed over here and stuff, so it's all... you can just feel it, you know, and nights are darker and stuff, so
the nights are fair drawn in.
They're drawing in, I was thinking that tonight. You tell that to an Australian person and they go, you what?
What are you
Sorry,
talking
mate?
about, man?
Sorry, mate. Anyway, yes, all good. But there's
All
no
good.
chance of Lenzo or Tim Lynch listening to this anyway, so...
Nah, I think when I was last over in Melbourne and we did that little recording, that worked out really well. When I listened back to it, it was great, but I've not been able to send it to you. I've tried to send it to you a couple of times. If anybody knows how to send the voice recording thing from an iPhone via email or something like that, please let me know, because I haven't.
I'll help you with that later on, mate. Even I can do that, so it's pretty...
Oh, good on you, good on you. It's an M4A file or something like that. It was 20 minutes of drunken banter in a pub in Melbourne. And it was, I listened back to it thinking, oh my God, how's this going to sound? But it actually sounded not bad. But it was about 2 weeks ago now, and it's going to be old hat. But if we can ever resurrect the thing, we might put it out as a little 20-minute special or something. We'll see how we go. But anyway, sorry guys, we've met Patrick, but again you heard the dulcet tones of Mr. Martin Kelly, and again in Melbourne, Victoria. Good day, Martin.
Good day, mate. How are you?
Very good. How have you been, Martin?
Mate, I've been great. I've actually had since Good Friday. I've been off since Good Friday, so mate, I've
nice.
10 days off or something, mate. So sensational. Spent some time down at the beach with the kids.
Excellent.
It was sensational, mate. Absolutely sensational. So yeah,
it's all good. And Martin tells us that he's in his kitchen, but it does sound like he's in his bathroom. So whether or not you believe him, he's in his kitchen or in the bathroom sitting on a pan, maybe doing a poo-poo. We don't know. But anyway, good day, Martin.
Keep it above the waist, mate. Keep it above the waist, mate.
Okay, buddy, okay. And also, our regular panel member up in Osaka, Japan, half the world away from paradise, Mr. Liam Carrigan. Good day, Liam.
G'day boys, how we doing?
Very good, mate. Very good. How have you been, Liam?
Tired, very, very busy. It's the start of the new school year up here now, so
Okay.
everybody's kind of going mental at school, getting work done, and I get moved to a new school on the other side of the city, so I'm doing a lot of travelling as well.
Very good. And you're at a new school, you said, Liam, yeah?
I'm at 4 new schools.
4 new schools.
The way they do it here is that you're at a different school every day of the week. So
All right. That's a bit mad.
I've got one junior high school, 2 primary schools, and one special needs school to cover. So
Jeez,
busy
mate.
times.
So you need to put a different hat on every day of the week,
Basically,
metaphorically
aye.
speaking.
Yep.
Bloody hell. Well, good luck with that, mate.
Oh, cheers.
Good on you. Right, lads, without further ado, if you are listening in to us live, in fact, 62 Kangaroos tweeted already. He says, and we're off for another round of piss and wind, otherwise known as Half the World 88. And welcome back, boys. He knows us so well, doesn't he, 62 Kangaroo? Another round of piss and wind. Oh, before we go on as well, I must say that Toby Jug, who's contacted us a few times before on here, he'd put a post on Facebook earlier this evening, and he'd put up a whole heap of photographs from a charity game that was on. I'm just trying to find it here just now. Where the hell is it? It was a charity game between Celtic fans and it said Rangers fans, but I'm guessing it means Sevco fans. But it might have been Rangers fans of the club that used to.
It could still be in morning.
Could still be in morning. But I'm not sure if it took place today or had it taken place before and they just got around to putting the photographs up. I can't find it in my bloody Facebook feed just now. But it was for a charity, it was for a food bank that the fans got together to play this game. And the Celtic fans won out 7-3 victors over the Baddie fans. So I just think, I said to him earlier on, I says, we've got a little podcast tonight, so I'll give you a bit of a shout out and congratulations to everybody that was involved in organising that. They raised about £1,000 on the day, I think, which was excellent. So again, I'm struggling to find on my feed the name of the actual food bank that money's going to, but a worthy cause. If Toby Jug's listening in, he did say he'll probably be listening in for work anyway. You can maybe get back in touch, Toby, and just give us a little update on that. But yeah, well done to everybody that's involved in that, raising £1,000 for a very good cause. Food banks should not exist, of course. I think we would all agree with that in this day and age. But unfortunately, it's a sign of the times back home. But yes, without further ado, if you are listening in and you want to get in touch with us or interact with us or slag us or whatever, you can get us on Twitter. You can send your tweets to @halftheworld88. That's @halftheworld88. Or if you wish, you can try to Skype us. Whether or not we can get you on, because there is the 4 of us on here already tonight, so it might slow things down. Especially given Pat's now a Netflix super user, so maybe that'll slow things down for us. But if you do want to try, you can Skype us. The name is HalfTheWorld88 again. You can have a look there. Or if you're in the Spreaker chat room, of course, you can leave some comments in there, and Pat will do his best to keep his eye on there and interact as best we possibly can.
I don't think we have to worry about it tonight, Kev. There's a whopping 2 people currently listening.
Well, that's great. Does that include us 4?
No. Luckily, no. All right, we'll make it 6 then.
I must admit, cause the clocks went forward back in Scotland, I thought maybe because it's a 12 o'clock kind of lunchtime thing, because beforehand it was like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock sometimes we were doing them recently. But because it was 12 o'clock, I thought, well, maybe a Friday lunchtime, people might, tune in if they knew it was happening. But obviously 2 of them, maybe
Probably
2
not.
of them have. 2 of them have, so I'm obviously just thinking we're a hell of a lot bigger than we actually are.
Yep. That's about sums it up. Anyway, never mind. We're here now.
Not to worry. Well, anyway, title of the show was what was it? The two Jags, Jaggy Thistles.
Yep.
Two Jags. That might have been good as well. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We've named it now. But we played Partick Thistle.
Jags you are. We could have been Jags you are.
Jags you are.
Jag you are.
See, it's all happening now. This was one of the reasons why we were late on. We spent 10 minutes trying to come up with a bloody name for the show. That's how bad we are. But yeah, we played Partick on Wednesday night, and there's quite a few midweek games coming up. In fact, I think I'd seen something that out of our next 7 home games, next 7 league games, there was only one on a Saturday, which was quite bizarre actually. But yeah, we Partick Thistle on Wednesday night, and I don't know if you saw the full game or seen highlights or seen the goals or whatever, but I'll just go around you just now and get your thoughts on it, guys. I was set the alarm, got up and watched the whole thing anyway, so I've got a fair few views on it, but I'll come to you first, Pat. Did you see the game, and what was your thoughts on it?
The Partick game, or are we going back to the Mirren game?
Nah, St Mirren's old hat, man. That's all done and dusted. That's over a week ago. Let's talk about the Jags.
Actually, I do want to talk about the St Mirren game.
Right, on you go.
Nobody told me that the clocks had changed in Scotland. So
disaster, mate.
I do the right thing. It's a Saturday morning over here, and I set the alarm and okay, excellent, happy days. Get 10 minutes to get up and go for a little wee and stuff. Turn the computer on, go for a wee, and turned it on, and it's a half-time review. Thinking, dear. Anyway, seems I didn't miss very much. But anyway, thanks to the whole world for not telling me. So never mind. M's the breaks, I suppose. Yeah, look, the Partick game, I'll be honest, it was real early morning over here. It was like 4:45 in the morning kickoff. I set the alarm and I didn't get back to sleep. It was 4:45. I was like, stuff that. End up 5:15, got up, and as you know, I would watch it through a bit of a dodgy and on Channel Dave, as it's known in this household. Yeah. And even the dodgies were having issues with Celtic TV, so they were watching it. The dodgy was watching it through an even dodgier, which meant it was like, oh geez, you could have watched it on the tiny screen on your phone, and it would have been probably just about right. But try to watch it on a laptop was horrendous. So that kind of turned me off a little bit. They got it sorted by half time anyway. So was it like just buffering or just poor quality picture? The quality was fairly. I mean, I was more listening to it than watching it. Yeah, it was when I was on, and it didn't sound as if I missed too much in that sort of first half hour anyway. So second half, it was. I don't know. They were just took my part really. I think it was just cruising a little bit with the guy getting sent off. Was it Craig? I can't remember the guy's name now. Just before half time, and obviously scored the penalty, and it was kind of games of bogey at that point. But yeah, it's just, the games at the moment it's really just a case of winning them. There's no spectacular performances, and I think one of these games we're going to take a barrel load off somebody. But it's just one of those ones like you take the win because every game close to that that final clincher, I guess, for the league. But Aberdeen aren't exactly they're hanging on by nothing. I think they've kind of almost conceded the whole thing. But I think verbally they have, but I think that's just a bit of mind games to try and obviously take pressure off themselves and put a wee bit more pressure onto us. But well, I've been trying to listen to sort of whatever podcast, and then I listen to a bit of Sports Round as well every now and again. And I think Derek McInnes, I think he was on that one. I can't quite remember. I think he was on that. I heard him pretty much saying that like Aberdeen won't win the league. So, but you're right. It might just be a bit of mind games, but like there's no way we're going to fall for that. I mean, if anyone's going to collapse in that sort of last few games, it's going to be them. We've got guys that have a bit more experience and what they have been there and done it. Essentially. So. I mean, to be fair, they put up a good fight. I mean, we'd have to really fall apart by now, between now and the end of the season. And Inverness, probably Inverness away is about the toughest we're going to get. That's so. There's only 3. I need to go and check this right now. Actually, there's only 3 games before the split as well. So, actually, I'll go and double check that. There's Inverness twice.
We played 30.
Yeah, so we've got five games before the split, Pat. You don't need to check it, Pat. We've just told you.
No, it's 3.
No, it's 3.
It's 3 games. You're talking.
Oh,
you're talking
sorry.
SH1T. Get it
'cause
right
there's
up
5.
you.
Yeah,
Get it right up you, right? So Inverness
sorry.
away on the
Why did I
on the
think it was
Saturday.
35 games before a split?
Yeah.
Aye, 3 games before a split. That's right, and then 5
Yep.
games after it makes it 38. Yep.
So Inverness away, Kelly at home, Dundee away in the league, and in the mix is the Inverness Cup final, semi-final. Sorry.
Semi-final. Yep.
So
a week Sunday.
Yep. So I should really tally up and see, when we can actually win the league. Assuming Aberdeen win everything, but it's probably going to be shortly after the split. You'd think anyway. Well, was that 7 points ahead? More like 8 points in goal difference.
Assuming Aberdeen don't drop any more points as
That's
well.
what I'm saying. Like you're assuming they win everything, but they're just holding on at the moment, I guess. But I haven't checked their run in. But yeah, I mean, as I said, it's just a case of getting through games at the moment. You take a 1-0 win, you take a 5-0 win. Just as long as it's a win, doesn't really matter. Keeps them a fair distance behind. So that's it. Most important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the fact is that. I think even the St Mirren game, there's not so much complaints. I think he's experimenting a little bit at the moment. Obviously, Guidetti up front against Partick, and then he had Stokes up front against St Mirren. Mm-hmm. The Guidetti one, I thought he had a fair few good touches. I don't know what the sort of feeling is back home, but I thought he was actually all right. He was involved in the play, and set up Johansson. That second goal was a cracker, I thought.
Something that I know, or maybe it's me just reading into it as well, but you know how Guidetti came under a little bit of criticism after the cup final, the League Cup final, sorry, when they had the hoo-ha about the penalty and stuff like that, and then he came in for a little bit of criticism from the fans just about his body language and things like this. I don't know, was it because that was in the back of my mind, but see when I saw him playing the other night, and it didn't show you this on the live during the game, but see when we scored, and they did this little celebration thing. I think it was after the second goal. You could see them kind of setting up to do a celebration. Obviously, if you were there at the game, you'll have seen it. It was as if, I don't know, it looked as if they were setting themselves up as if they were getting a picture taken in front of a camera or something like this. They were all going to stand like a team photograph. But on Celtic TV, it just went to show the replay of the goal and stuff like that again. So I didn't quite see it, but it looked as if it was Guidetti that was orchestrating that thing. And there was just a couple of things, after when the Common scored the penalty, Guidetti was right over to him, and he was all happy as Larry. I don't know, am I reading far too much into it, or is he going out of his way now to show that he's such a team player for Celtic? I personally thought he had not a bad game. He did show a few nice touches, but for me, I still don't think Guidetti's the answer up there.
No,
I think the majority of us fell out of love with Guidetti when he came out of his little purple patch, actually, because he's never really quite done it since then. And some of the stuff he said and Andy's body language that we've seen, and just him flitting in and out of games as well, I don't think he's the type of player that fits into Ronnie Dyla's team. The way he wants us playing with that high tempo stuff all the time, he's a bit start-stoppish, and he can be a bit sluggish at times as well, I feel. Sometimes sorry, on you go.
No, in saying that, I think after watching Stokes in the St Mirren game though, or the second half of the St Mirren game, because you bastards didn't tell me about the clocks changing, I still think he was better in that position than Stokes was. So I guess if you're going to say if Griffiths isn't playing, he'd probably be there ahead of Stokes for me anyway. So
yeah, for me, Stokes has never been an out-and-out striker, though. Guidetti's meant to be. But I just don't.
Nah, Stokes he is a good out-and-out striker, but he's a second striker. He's not the sort of player that can play up front on his own. He's never been able to do that. I think they tried him in Europe a few times, and he's just not good at it. Guidetti can do it. But obviously Griffiths, the fact he's fit, busy, he puts pressure on from the front. Actually, he'll chase a ball into the corner just to give you that that tiny bit of advantage as well. He'll put players under pressure for that. That's obviously what Dyer likes. I mean, not necessarily.
I don't see that from Guidetti. I see that more from Griffiths.
No, from Griffiths. I'm saying that's.
Oh,
Griffiths.
sorry. I thought you. Yeah, sorry.
I'm just saying, like Guidetti's better. If you're basically looking at who'd be number 1, 2, and 3, for me it'd be Griffiths first, Guidetti second, and Stokes. Might even be somebody before Stokes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Skepovic or someone, because I've never liked Stokes.
It's a pity because we've not seen Skepovic we've not seen enough of him really to be able to judge him fairly, I don't think. But I would probably agree, based on what we've got there right now, that would be your kind of 1, 2, 3 in order of choice. But if I had my way, probably I would have neither of them there. I'd rather have two really good 20-goal a season strikers to rely on consistently. 20-goal a season strikers to rely on. But I suppose before we just keep blubbering on about this, poor Martin and Liam, I'm leaving you out here quite a bit. I've not had your views on this at all. But Martin, I'll come to you just now. Did you catch the game at all, or have you seen it back on?
Look, I've seen it back, and look, to me, we did what had to be done. We put the ball in the back of the net twice. We did what it had to do, and I agree with Pat. I think it's that at this point of the season, we just don't want to, drop any points. Just keep going to the split, and when we can get the trophy back, keep it at Paradise where it's meant to be. Mm-hmm. To me, it was just one of those goals. Get it done with. Get it done with. Move on to the next one. We've got so many also games so often now. It is just get the points. Get the points in the bag.
Yep. Liam, what about yourself? Did you catch it or see highlights of it at all?
I saw highlights, pretty much along the same lines as Martin's saying. I think at this point you've got games tend to kind of go into priorities, and this was a low priority game as far as things are concerned. We could have lost that game and nobody would have really, people would have bitched about it on Twitter for a few days, but nobody would really have cared about it in the grand scheme of things. So, like Pat said, just get the job done, get the points. That's all you can really ask for at this point in the season. So, a very kind of generic, not particularly inspiring, but effective performance. And that was it,
Yeah. I mean, I think, I know, Pat, you said you didn't really miss much the first half hour. Mind you, no, I think you were talking about the St Mirren game when you mentioned that. But see the first 15 minutes of the game against Partick the other night, I thought we were absolutely superb. Some of the football we were playing, the movement we were making. And again, I think we demonstrated some of that fast-flowing, kind of high-pressing football that we all heard about when Ronnie Dyler came in at first. I think within the first minute, there was a ball came in down the kind of inside left channel, and Big Van Dijk was up in the box, and he flicked his right foot out at it, and he hit it off the bar. It was really unlucky, but that would have been us a goal up in the first minute of the game. But for that first 15 minutes, I thought we were superb. But I would also give credit to Partick, because I think throughout the whole game, and I know they certainly came back into it after that 15-minute spell that we had, and then I think it became a more even for the rest of the first half. But for them, it was the worst thing that could have happened, and the worst time it could have happened, just before half time, when it was definitely a defence splitting flick over the top that they put through to, I think it was Stuart Armstrong that got brought down for the penalty, but it was a stone waller anyway, I think, and the poor guy had to go. But it was your typical double whammy. The guy gets sent off, plus Common scores the penalty right on half time, and you thought yourself then that should be dead and buried. And but to be fair to Thistle, I think they had created one really good, I wouldn't even say it was a brilliant chance, I'd say it was a half chance, but the guy struck it really well, and Craig Gordon pulled out a superb save. And I think at that time, that could have given them the lead at that time in the first half. I think they tried to play that kind of high-pressing game as well. There was a couple of times that they had quite a few players pushed up on our defenders, which, and I think the guys were saying it on Celtic TV, you certainly don't see a lot of teams doing that to us in the Scottish League. But you could understand why, because both Denier and Van Dijk love coming forward, bringing the ball out as far as they can from defence. But they seem to push up on us, which is a brave thing to do when you're at Celtic Park against us.
You also have to think as well, in terms of how brave they were, that they're not that far out of the relegation fight. If you think
they're
about
not.
it,
You're right.
They're only a point ahead of Ross County, and they're right in the mix for it.
That's
basically
right.
Motherwell, so you get Motherwell, and looking at the table now, you see Motherwell and St Mirren are pretty much down. Motherwell's on 31, Ross County 34, and Partick 35. So 4 points splitting the three teams, so it is a fairly bold move. I mean, that extra point, if they just held in there and tried to do it, it would have been, a godsend for them, you know what I mean, just to try and stay out of that sort of fight between the other two teams. But and even the second half, I actually thought they did all right, you know, for a team that was down to 10 men. They were still coming forward, you know. So
and I think there was another really, really good save by Craig Gordon as well.
I actually thought that I saw the highlights of that part of the one in the first half. I actually thought the second half save was much better.
Yeah,
down his right hand side if it's one I'm
it was very low. Yeah, he hit it low as well, and he had to get down, so it was. I mean, bizarrely speaking, we did create a number of chances, and on another day, if we'd have taken them, it could have been a lot higher scoreline. But bizarrely enough, if Partick had taken those two chances, we could have been looking at a bloody 2-2 draw against a team that were down to 10 men for a full half of the game. But I don't want to sound too negative in terms of the way we played, because as I said, I think we did play well. In the first 15 minutes, I thought we were really good. The rest of the game, I thought we still played well, but I just probably give more credit to Partick Thistle as to the way they approached the game, and I think it was competitive. It was a competitive game of football, and it was an enjoyable game of football to watch. So,
do you know something? It's exactly what I was going to say about I missed the first half of the St Mirren game, but you're talking from the second half of the St Mirren game and even the Partick game. It's good football to watch at the moment. It's actually worth getting up at 5 a.m. to flip and watch these games, you know. So, I mean, it's far removed from, you know, days gone by, even the start of the year when we're, you know, games against Hamilton and stuff like that, you know, and losing at Celtic Park, and you know, but
that's right.
It's actually
days, mate.
It is. It's just that genuinely, you know, certainly over here. I mean, obviously Saturday night we've got a reasonable kick-off Saturday night as well for the Inverness game. It's going to be about, is it 12:15? I think it kicks off. Can't remember now, but so
it's 12:45. So
that's quarter to 10 at
9:45 for you guys.
Yeah, so quarter to 10 at night. You know, so it's just, but it's good. You know, even so the Kilmarnock game, I'll be up at same thing. It'll be 4:45 in the morning, kick off on Thursday morning for us. But yeah, it's just it's kind of a joy. Kind of watch Celtic at the moment, and long may it continue. But you know, obviously a Scottish Cup semi coming up as well, and that's going to set up when really you'd love that finale as well. Just the way things are going at the moment. You know, that feel good factor. You just love to get that Scottish Cup final last day, the football season and stuff. You know what I mean? So especially I was actually checking the calendar the other day as well, and I think it's about around those times that all the playoff stuff for the championship is happening as well. I think it might even be the final. It might be the day after the Scottish Cup final. So that would be a nice wee double in that, you know. If
that might be good to watch. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit later about what's happening in the lower divisions of the Scottish Football League. But the other thing I was going to mention there as well, and it's you know I'm not I don't pay too much attention to what the other teams are doing in the league and what positions they're in and things like that until such times as we're about to play a team. But when I was, you know, in the run up to the Partick game the other night, and the build up to it, and the commentary's basically going on about how for all they're sitting, I think they're 9th in the league or something like that just now, but it's kind of belying the way they've been playing the last few games. And I think we all know that they drew up at Pittodrie against Aberdeen in their game prior to ours last weekend. So, you know, that was maybe a little bit of a sign that they're no mugs. But I think they have been doing quite well. But not only have Thistle been doing well, I think Motherwell and Ross County have picked up recently as well in the last few games. So I guess from our point of view, and if we're looking at the potential for whoever wins the playoff from the Championship coming up, there's no guarantee that whoever finishes second in that league is going to get into the top league. Just given the form of Queen of the South have done really well in the last couple of games, beating Hibs and beating Falkirk, and then beating Sefco last night. So I think there's no guarantees.
You know, to be fair, Rangers are, you know, they're back in a bit in better form than they have been all season. You know what I mean? So
apart from last night,
that's just a blip, Kev. You know, goosebumps and all that sort of stuff. You know,
goosebumps, mate.
Goosebumps. Yeah, I get goosebumps just thinking about Queen of the South humping them 3-0. Anyway, but you know, so you've got them. If they come back onto a bit of form, you've got Queen of the South are playing well at the moment. You've got Hibs that are again getting back on track. They've had a wee bit of slump with a couple of, but then you've got Ross County and Motherwell with the same. I mean, either of those. I mean, from a Celtic fan's perspective, who would you want them to be playing right now? If they got to the final, would you say probably Motherwell? You'd love that whole Scott McDonald, Steve McManus kind of thing, Stephen Pearson.
It's a good shout. It's tricky. It's tricky because I forgot those. I'm forgetting just until you mentioned it. I'm forgetting about that trio of guys that are there just now. But I don't know. It's hard to say. I'd love to think that Sevco don't even make it into that final. I'd like to see them getting beaten before the actual playoff final. The way things are going, and let's face it, who knows? I mean, their last couple of games against the two Edinburgh teams was very disappointing from us neutrals' point of view. Because again, I've very rarely seen them at all since they died, to be honest. But the games when they've played Hearts, I've tuned into them usually and have a bit of a laugh when they're on. And the Hibs games when they were pumping them, I watched them for a laugh. So I did the same, and I was very disappointed with the Hibs performance against them at Easter Road. And likewise, I was quite disappointed with the Hearts performance against them, albeit when the elbows get sent off. I had turned over by that time anyway in the Hearts game. But then I flicked it back and noticed it was 2-1, and I was watching the last wee bits in case they equalised. But it was kind of a procession towards the Sevco goal at that stage. So,
I watched the start of it, and then as soon as it went 1-0, it was flick.
It's bloody annoying, but it's kind of one of those things as well. I don't know. You're kind of thinking to yourself that they've obviously been thinking that their saviours come in now. Now they've got rid of Fat Sally and Stuart McCall's come in. And then they get those two results against the Edinburgh teams, and they've been unbeaten in X amount of games, and all of a sudden they're world beaters, and they get goosebumps and all that kind of pish. And then when I woke up this morning and just I was on Facebook, and then I see all the patter on there about Queen of the South pumping them. Oh, hilarity before I start work. Superb. But anyway,
there's only a few games all left, so I mean, they're not. I mean, a lot can kind of change in that. I mean, I don't think in terms of, from what I remember, I checked the run in.
Yeah.
I think from what I remember, last game of the season, they play Hearts away.
They do.
Okay. And I think Hibs are away as well. I think Hibs are away somewhere. It must be either Livingston or Falkirk. I know it's on the side of the country. I just can't remember which one. It's one of the two.
Right.
So if it comes down to that, who's going to finish second? But it'll be interesting. But
it will.
I think they've
be good for us neutrals.
Look, I think a lot. It's the Edinburgh Derby this weekend on Sunday, right. So I think a lot will depend on the result of that one. If Hibs, it's at Easter Road as well. If Hibs beat Hearts, then it's certainly game on. But I think if Hearts beat them, then I think it's pretty much certain that, in my opinion anyway, Reagan Rangers will finish second, but we'll see how we go. Interesting. But yes, it's fun and games at the moment, and let's not talk about the all the Rangers badges and stuff and intellectual property and so on so at the moment.
That's something else. We might come on to that a bit later for another laugh, but
I'll just laugh at it now, just to point at them and laugh.
Why not? Well, unless Martin and Liam, are you up to date with this latest super exclusive story that broke today?
From what I can gather, Mike Ashley owns everything to do with
everything to do with the brand.
Aye.
So I think it was on the
including Broxy Bear,
the Scottish Football Monitor. I think it was it was the guy. I was reading about. I think it was. I read that every now and again. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a regular reader of it, but I just read the last couple of comments pages from I think what they do is they'll post an article, and then there'll be thousands and thousands of comments underneath it. And it was a guy, I think Eco Boy, I think it was the guy that kind of posted on it, and it was almost like oh, by the way, have a look at this. And even to the point where what was the comment was made that even the term follow has been registered as a, seriously. Even that term is, it's like, Broxy Bear and all these sort of things. Those phrases are all, copyrighted and whatever. So it's, he owns us, they own that. So, yes, quite amusing stuff.
That is funny, and there's a big hoo-ha going on, and a big investigation getting carried out by the board.
Are they investigating?
How was this able to happen? But apparently, what it said is that this happened actually, just short. I think it was shortly before the board, or was it shortly after the board?
It was after.
Which is even more bizarre how it happened.
As in, it kind of was right below their noses. They didn't know what was happening. It's just gold. It's absolute gold. So.
We should have seen this coming, but because Mike Ashley's no daft. See when all the Huns were about, we showed him, we put him in his place. It's like, guys, he's a billionaire for a reason,
He still had plenty of say when they were calling them everything. That's for sure, and that's going to run for a while yet as well, guys. It's
all these other supposed Huns, he doesn't even pretend to give a shit about Rangers.
That's true. You never hear from the guy at all. Well, we certainly don't hear anything over here, but I'm pretty sure it's similar back home. But a long may the hilarity continue.
But then I had a wee rant at that. That clown Keith Jackson that writes for the Record.
Mm-hmm.
I had a wee rant at him a few weeks ago on, I can't remember if it was Facebook or Twitter. He was like, "These are the questions that Mike Ashley must answer." And it was an article. And I put, "Who the fuck are you? You think this David? He has to answer to a toad like you? The guy's a multi-millionaire. Yeah. He does what he wants, goes where he wants. He is not accountable to a fucking hack like you.
Yeah,
it's like." Who do you think you are to even suggest that?
You've got to love that actually, because how many times as well. Remember when years back when we were going through our crisis and things were pretty low for us, although never got quite as low as what they're getting dragged through. But remember there was those times, and you had guys, and it was guys like Keevans or the Jerry McNees or people like this, people that are meant to be Celtic men. But they'd be the ones that'd be putting these stories out. The exact same kind of thing, Liam. It was you need these questions need to be answered, and then they get questioned on why they're saying that, and they say, well, we're only asking on behalf of the Celtic fans, and you're thinking there as Celtic fans, just shut your fucking cake hole. They're not the kind of questions we want.
Ken, just can they ask some of these questions then, and some of the ones that are standing out, like you're going so. I think the perfect one is going back to when, there was a whole Super Ali and who made this decision. Remember there was the secret board thing, right?
Oh, that's right. Aye, that's right.
At no point did any of them go, so Ali, people inside Rangers knew who was on this board, and that all the clubs had agreed that this was a process and it was to be kept secret. Nobody would ask them that. And it's this thing, these questions need to be answered.
That's right.
Any chance at a press conference that you've got a chance to ask some of these questions?
That's right.
Let's just, I'm not asking for Woodward and Bernstein to, be meeting people in dark alleyways or underground car parks to get secret information. At a chance when there's a press conference, what about asking some of these? As I said, I'm not asking for deep undercover work, and that's the stuff that I get. If you've got these questions to ask, can we just ask them? And the whole internet BAMPOT thing of, there's, these guys are out there. I'm not asking again for absolute detailed stuff, but do a wee bit of research and then just ask some honest questions of some of these people. And as I said, the big one for me was the thing with the secret, who's the secret people? We've got the right to know. Well, people inside Ibrox did know who it was, Ali, so maybe some people inside your organisation before going on TV demanding to know these people's names. Yeah. And again, take a step back and maybe, Ali, have your club have agreed to that process. So, that's the thing that annoys me about the press. They ask to, these things need to be answered. Well, any chance you could ask them?
Well, it's that way that they... Sorry,
why don't they start asking Dave King the right questions then?
Because he's the new David Murray, isn't he? They're too scared to say anything to him.
Exactly. They're taking sides.
They fawned over a guy. Before he came in. He was the new saviour again, and now they've got egg in their face again because there's plenty of. I'm sure there's plenty of bloody people wanting to find out some answers as well, but there's nobody there to ask any questions of him.
But see,
it's farcical.
that'll be the real test of the Scottish Football Association, the Premier League, whoever makes that call, is like this whole fit and proper thing. Because look at the facts. There is no way in hell that this guy can be classed as fit and proper.
No,
and
absolutely
it's
not.
just the spin that this guy's putting on. I mean, obviously he's planting these little seeds, trying to get people on his side and stuff, including the press and the Rangers fans and stuff. So, but when it comes to the SFA, like, surely, just look at the facts, the things that they are saying. Like you can't have whatever sort of conviction or potential conviction where you could be jailed or you have been jailed or you have to pay fines and stuff like that. It's like, there's no way in hell they could basically accept this guy as fit and proper. But we all know what's going to happen. We all know exactly what's going to happen. It'll just get brushed under. No bother. In you come, Davy boy.
I'm not so sure, but I think if it comes down to it, he'll stay in the background and because I think he has said himself that he doesn't need to necessarily be on the board. He could control puppets or something like that, or representatives on the board, I suppose. So I don't think that would stop him. But where I'd be asking the questions is all this money that he's supposedly got, he's going to be pumping in there and all the stuff. Straight away there's been other lies that he said about the whole the Nomad situation. We had a Nomad lined up. This isn't an issue for us. We've got a Nomad lined up and he'll come in and we'll remain trading on the stock exchange. And then within a little while, he's done a 180-degree turn saying we don't really, ideally we don't want to be trading on the stock exchange. We just want our own people to be investing in us. And you're thinking, what kind of numpty is this guy? 1 minute he's saying we've got a Nomad lined up, and then the next thing they're off the stock exchange.
I think the reason for that is they don't want part of this, AIM stuff. Is that I think they could reject him as a potential director. I think they can basically say, well, no, he isn't fit and proper. The fact that they're no longer on that sort of register, I guess, means that they don't have to adhere to their conditions and restrictions and stuff. So that, whether
or not the AIM said he was fit or proper shouldn't affect anything to do with the SFA, mind you.
No, it shouldn't, and it doesn't. Yeah. But that's something like I think that's just one less thing for him to worry about. If they aren't registered and don't come under the AIM regulations, then it's just one less thing he has to worry about. So get in the door and then start looking for whatever sort of share sort of register or share not scheme, I can't think of the right term, but then I think it's a case of worry about it after that. So but one of the interesting things that I don't know if you picked up, I think it was last week, was that guy Paul Murray, who he came out basically in public and said it's going to take upwards of 7 years for Rangers to get competitive again.
Yeah,
so more or less admitting the fact that they are up, shit creek at the moment, and
that's going to be a very tough message for a lot of Huns to hear. But I would say that's a fairly reasonable estimate in terms of being competitive. Whether or not they'll be winning things then, but to get them competitive, I would say, given where they are just now, I would say that's a fairly reasonable estimate. But that's not going to get down too well with the Huns, that's for sure.
I'm surprised there wasn't more uproar about it. I thought there would have been. He's more or less said, like in a roundabout way, he was conceding the league for the next 7 years. And their beloved 9 in a row might be well and truly pumped. So.
Well, it's our beloved 9 in a row as well, remember. We've got our own record to beat as well.
That's right. It's a challenge, So, yep. But happy days. If they didn't get there for another year, Christ, that's another nail in the coffin. But anyway.
Absolutely. We've talked about those
what, Kev?
Those swines.
Okay.
Enough.
Sorry, boys, you've heard the old one, right? What's the difference between Rangers and Maggie Thatcher?
Oh, no.
What's that?
Go on.
About 9 months.
Oh ho! I hadn't heard that one.
Oh.
I like that. It was her anniversary quite recently as well, wasn't it? May she rot in hell.
It's funny when she died. See, trying to explain that to my students, because they were all like, "Oh, but you're from the UK, don't you love that?" She was no, she was a horrible bitch, and like in my hometown with a street party when she died, and they're like, "Really?"
She was the devil personified.
It was really strange that over here in Australia as well. Trying to explain to people, that you're so Prime Minister, because over in here it's like it doesn't matter which Prime Minister passes away. It's just the greatest guy in the world, and he saved us for this, and he did this for the country and whatever. But when it came to her, it was like get right in there. There was some sort of celebration in Melbourne as well. I can't quite remember what it was though. In the city of Melbourne, do you remember it, Martin? I think maybe it was something at Fed Square or something when she died. Federation Square is like kind of one of the kind of central meeting points in Melbourne. I mean, there was something there when the old bitch passed away. So can't quite remember what it was now, but so it even reached over here. But yeah, people at work were just astounded.
But I take it you educated them, Patrick.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I mean, yeah, it was on my soapbox at that point.
Aye. Oh, I did
right,
I did a nice bit of educating myself as well.
Yep.
Telling them a few stories that would make your hair curl and all that stuff. The poll tax was always a favourite story of mine. In fact, see when I was last over in Melbourne, when I last met up with you, when I was coming in from the airport to the hotel, it was an Aussie Croat taxi driver, and he was his team was Liverpool. He followed Liverpool, but he also, when he heard my accent, he knew it was a Scottish accent as well, which is quite good, because usually over here they get confused whether it's a Scottish or Irish accent. But he said, so he picked up the Scottish accent. He says, so are you Celtic or Rangers? I says, I'm Celtic. Oh, I love Celtic. He said, then he was talking about Mark Viduka for ages. But anyway, he was one of these really chatty taxi drivers, and a really nice guy. And it's a good 45-minute drive into the city, I guess. And so we're blathering away about this. The wee guy that's with me, he's a wee Filipino Aussie. He hadn't a clue what we were talking about. They were just going on about Celtic and stuff like that. But he was also keen. We were talking about the whole Maggie Thatcher stuff. He brought up the subject as well, and he was talking about the referendum and things like this as well. And so I was telling him about, because he didn't quite get the whole Maggie Thatcher hatred thing. So the story I'll always use, or the example I'll always use, is the bloody poll tax, of course, as to why that was such a bad, evil thing. And how when I turned 18, all of a sudden I had to pay tax, even although I didn't have a job. How could I pay anything when I didn't earn any money? And that was the farcical thing about that tax at the time. The community charge, I think, was its real name, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I
the
can
poll
remember.
tax.
I was at uni at the time. I just remember first time I was ever on a protest in my entire life.
Did you have a job at the time, Pat? Did you have a job?
At uni? No, I didn't get my first job until I was third year at uni. So
yep.
It's a student job.
So you'll have been in the exact same boat as me then. You were basically, you were 17 one day, and that was fine. And we were probably in the fortunate positions we didn't have to go out and get jobs, because we could scrounge off our parents or whatever when we needed a wee bit of cash. But for me, that was just when we turned one day you're 17, and then the next day you're 18, and all of a sudden you're having to pay money. You're having to pay tax, even though you don't earn a penny. And that was probably when I kind of really properly sat up and started paying attention to politics.
Because it was costing you money, that's why. Aye.
Well, of course it was. And it was just the whole ridiculousness of it, though. It was, how can somebody without a job pay tax? How can you possibly do that? Like somebody that's, you're living at home with your parents. I wasn't earning any money whatsoever, but yet they wanted me to pay tax. It was just farcical, because then invariably either your parents had to bail them out, but I was just one of the point blank refusers. I just didn't play it at all. I remember going down to Hamilton, where is it, in Cadshouse Street or something. Hamilton, I had to go and stuff like that, and you get called in. I just told them a big fucking lie. I just told them I did. I can't even remember what it was for. It was £242 or something like that. But when you don't have any money and you don't earn any money, £242 is a lot of money. And I remember just saying to the guy, just arguing with this guy, but it was a barefaced lie. I just said, I did pay that money. I sent a cheque away. And I had this stupid wee bit of paper with me, with a wee note that I'd written on it just saying, paid. Look, bill paid on whatever date it was. I says, look, I even wrote this down when I paid it, so I'd remember I paid it. So they went away into the bag and stuff like that, and they came back out and he says, oh, that's fine, Mr. O'Neill, I think we do have a record of your payment. So I just, well, good. I hope that's the end of this. And then I walked out, pissed myself laughing. But there was so many people that just didn't pay the thing anyway, and they couldn't. It must have cost a fortune to administer as well. It was the most farcical tax ever introduced, I think.
I should one of these days, Martin will share the story of our supporters club visit to the Melbourne Knights, the Croatian. So over in Australia, they used to have this whole sort of ethnic clubs.
Your taxi driver was a big Melbourne Knights fan as well, of course.
Yeah, so I used to go and watch Melbourne Knights there over in the western suburbs of Melbourne. So we'll share that story on a different day. That was an experience and a half, I'll tell you. My God, that was during the whole Mark Viduka kind of era.
Oh yeah.
When actually, Martin, can you remember the match programs that they had? I don't know if you remember we were in newspapers, Kev. We were in newspapers and everything. There were people taking pictures. There was they sent a minibus over for us. So the Melbourne Knights actually sent a minibus over to the eastern suburbs to pick all us up. And my God, I have
the Celtic supporters.
Celtic supporters, yeah. We had about 25 or 30 people on this bus. And we had like 3 or 4 slabs up here. It was flipping. Oh, it was horrible. It is the drunkest I have ever been.
It was horrible.
It is the drunkest I have ever been.
And I have said we should hire a bus and just drive around for a couple of hours before a game just to get the away game atmosphere. I think that'd be a great idea.
It was this was wild. But anyway, they were taking pictures and that always. We ended up in the front of their match program for the next game. And sure enough, pride of place, I'm standing there, like doing the Bruni with the hoops.
Oh, wonderful.
So I've still got it in the house somewhere. It's an experience. But anyway, I won't go into the whole detail of it. But
tell me this, you'll maybe know, because this taxi driver guy was telling us about this wee Scottish player that played with the Melbourne Knights, and he was absolutely outstanding. I can't remember, did he have a Celtic link or something, but he said there was this wee Scottish player. He ended up becoming an Aussie international as well. But he was from Scotland. Does that ring a bell with any of you guys?
No? Kind of. Like over here, that they sort of naturalise a lot of the people that sort of played football just to try and, I think even one of the first Australian, or who was it? One of the guys took them to one of the World Cups, might have been Scottish as well. I think half their team was, they played in like the 74 World Cup or something, I think. I don't think they would have been an actual natural Australian in the whole team. Yeah. It was all like, Croatians and Serbians and that sort of stuff, and probably a Brit or two. So, but those days, Melbourne Knights still exists, but they changed the whole league structure over here so that the whole ethnic sort of side of football disappeared. So you'd have like Italian teams in Sydney, you'd have Greek and Croatian teams in Melbourne, and that's so. Look, the Melbourne Knights as they're called now, where I think it was Melbourne, Croatia. Something like that. Right. And there was South Melbourne Hellas. There was what was the Italian team in Sydney? I can't remember. Marconi, yeah.
I think it was Heidelberg. Oh, look, Heidelberg was somewhere else in Melbourne. That was somewhere in Eastern Europe. I'm not sure, and I'm going to be careful that I don't get my house firebombed by choosing the wrong thing. But yeah, each of the teams, a lot of the teams had ethnic bases to them.
And so why did they disband them though? Was it because of trouble at the games and stuff like that?
When the NSL came in, they'd said they wanted to get rid of the ethnic stuff at one point, and then after that, when the A-League came in, it was basically they didn't want teams with hardcore ethnic roots that then wouldn't. So if you had a Serbian team, Bosnians or Croatians wouldn't go and see it. And that they wanted. Almost to start a fresh type thing. Yep. And I think very few teams, in fact, it might have even only been Perth, that were I can't remember, maybe Adelaide were the sort of NSL teams that then went on to be in the A-League. I could be wrong with that, but that's my general thoughts on that.
Well, do you know what? See what you're saying there, Martin? That must have permeated right through and it's still going on, because the guy, now it's a while since I mentioned it on here, but a guy over in Perth here, Paul Kelly, that's heavily involved in organising. It's a club called Celtic Australis, is their name.
Yeah, aye.
Right, so you've maybe seen them on Facebook, their page and stuff like that. They're on Twitter as well. And they're very well run from what I can see and from what I see from Paul's posts and things like that. Very well run, and they're actually just kicking off their season. I think they've played a few friendlies and they've done quite well. They actually played a Mandara team I think it was last weekend or the weekend before, and they pumped them, which was quite good. But anyway, they go by the name of Celtic Australis, but in the league that they play in, they're not allowed to call themselves that. They're down as something like CA Perth Lions, so it is still Celtic Australis Perth Lions, but they've had to take the word Celtic. You're not allowed in Perth if you're a new club. I think this kicked in last season, but the rules are you're not allowed to have a name that associates you with any kind of ethnic group. Right. So there is another team, Perth Celtic, basically, that play over here, but and they're still allowed to call themselves Perth Celtic because they were formed before this rule was brought in. But basically, from now on, if you want, you couldn't call a team Mandara Harp or Mandara Shamrock or anything like that, Mandara Celtic, if you're wanting to play in the league systems over here anymore. It's got to be a kind of neutral. How they police it and how they organise that, I'll never know. But it does sound a bit farcical, but it sounds as if it's linked to that rule that was brought in many years ago then, and it's just permeated its way right through the federation.
I remember taking a couple of nephews to South Melbourne games, and it was sensational. It was they used to time their games like over the summer about 5 o'clock on a Sunday night. The heat of the day was off. It was brilliant, and over 2 weekends I took 2 nephews. It was good, good. We had a bit of fun and everything. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, my wife's family were all round here and we're watching, the TV was on the background, and basically all hell broke loose at one of the games, and the stuff on fire and police belting people. And it was basically part of it was just they were playing a team with some, an ethnic rival sort of thing. And it was just, look, guys, and it meant you had to choose the games you went to. And Pat, actually, I've had the flashback do you remember there was the team Carlton in Melbourne, the soccer team, and they had about 3 ex-Rangers players.
They did,
and
yeah.
At one point they were talking about when we were going to play them, trying to make it a Celtic Rangers thing, and we were saying to them, look guys, you've got no idea what you're trying to tap into here. This goes horribly wrong, we'd nothing to do with it. I remember, and it was no Melbourne night, so we're getting hoops, and Carlton will wear light blue, or I think they were in the navy blues, and it was one of those guys. Seriously, this isn't a wee friendly rivalry. We're talking about over 100 years worth of hatred here, sort of thing. And it would like they were just trying to tap into it, but it wasn't going to end well. I'd forgotten about that, but aye.
I know. I remember Stuart Monroe was one of the players.
Aye.
Oh yeah.
And
sort of left back. But,
Dave Ferguson, I think he might have been out.
He was there for a year, I think it was. Wasn't Ian Ferguson part of that too, or was he just a manager over here?
Ian Ferguson he was at Perth for a while. He was at where was
Brisbane Roar. He was a Brisbane Roar manager when I came over here.
Aye, and he was
North Queensland Fury or something.
No,
he's up there now. Actually, I think he's up there now as the. In fact, I've actually got a story about that. He's up there now, and he was something in Central Coast, and I was at one of the cup finals, and I think he was he the Perth coach at one point?
It was, the last few years, up till fairly recently.
I was at a function and somebody was saying, I was actually at the cup final and somebody was saying, who are you going to support? I said, I think it was Brisbane. They went, why? I went, because I hate the Perth coach. Yeah. And the guy next to me who'd actually invited me went, he's a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And all right, well, this is going to be difficult, but they hate him. I can't just...
Well said. You stuck to your guns.
And it was one of those we just go, right, well, there's nothing else I can do with that. But it was funny how they were out here for a while. There was quite a few of them. I remember at Brisbane there was 3 or 4. Like, was Charlie Miller no up there? And a few
there. Bob Malcolm, when we played them up there.
Was he there as well?
Bob Malcolm was it? Oh, Kev, you should have seen this. When Celtic played Brisbane Roar in that sort of friendly out in Queensland, he was getting warmed up behind the goals. I think maybe in a sub, can't quite remember now. But and oh my God, I've never had abuse like this. Oh Jesus, it was just It was the most. There was a guy with a bob.
Bob Malcolm was quite famous for scrawling FTP on something as well, was he not?
I used to sign his autograph to Rangers fans.
I think that's ringing a bell with me, so I'm not surprised he got a bit of abuse then.
But, I was going to say I was totally shocked when that Bob Malcolm story came out. Bob Malcolm being literate.
Being able to write FTP.
I need to try and find this, but I've actually a guy had a T-shirt on, and it was some derogatory term with Bob Malcolm. I can't even remember what it was, but it was. I don't know if it's on this computer I'm on at the moment, but I'll see if I can find it. But it was something really, really. People were getting their pictures taken with him. It was that funny. You know what I mean? It was like Bob Malcolm. Oh, yeah, it was probably something maybe even homophobic. I'm not quite sure. But anyway.
Wasn't that about eating dogs or something, or mad cow disease? Or it was
Can't
something.
Cannot remember. But it
was the update. We're well over an hour and we've just covered
Martin, do you know what? I was just thinking that. We're over an hour and we've talked about nothing. We've talked about absolutely nothing. See, before we talk about something, and
we're going to get email. Guys are using their downloads to listen to this.
We've only got two people listening, man.
No, there's more now. Yeah, let's see. What was the latest one?
3 people. But we'll move on a minute.
Yeah. Well, Connor was listening. Alistair Jack's in there, so now I've got 16.
Alistair sent a tweet a minute ago.
Yep.
He's getting up at 7:30 in the morning to go up to Inverness, Cockaleaky for a game. Fair play to you, Al. That's a fair wee jaunt, sir. A fair wee jaunt. Now, before I forget as well, so I can move off my phone here on the Facebook, I said earlier on at the start of the show about Toby Jug. He'd put these 122 photos to the album Charity Food Bank match. So this was the Celtic versus Sevco fans in aid of, it was, I didn't know, I couldn't remember the name of the food bank that it was for. It was the Glasgow North East Food Bank charity. So I just wanted to put that in there. But they raised £1,000 on the day, which was really good. And if it was taken today, it looks as if it's a nice sunny day back in old Glasgow town, which is very good. So, guys, I'm going to talk about, and there has been a little bit of chat in the media, because the season's coming towards its end. There's been talk about, Player of the Year candidates. So I thought we might as well just go round ourselves and have a little chat about who we think the candidates are for Player of the Scottish Player of the Year. So whether it's a Celtic player or not, let's just hear our views. So Liam, I'll come to you first because we've been blathering on about Aussie type things for a while here. So we'll come to yourself just now and just, who do you think are the potential candidates, whether they're Celtic players or not, but also who from Celtic do you think would be in the running for the Player of the Year?
Well, see, to be honest, I've not seen enough of Scottish football outside of Celtic this season to make an intelligent judgment on it, I'll be honest.
That makes two of us.
Hold on.
I don't watch it. I don't watch Scottish football because it's pish, Liam. Apart from Celtic.
I've got a feeling that anyway. the Player of the Year will go to a non-Celtic player.
Do you think so?
Because if they can't get it to a Hun, they don't want to get it to Celtic, do they? Let's be honest. I've just got a feeling that would be the kind of the sort of what would be seen as the kind of PC thing to do. Would be like, they're going to win the league, they're going to win everything else, but we make another team's player a Player of the Year.
Moshney? Oh no, they can't do that. She's in a different division.
No, I'd say in terms of all of non-Celtic, so I guess we'll be focusing on Celtic. The only one, because I do watch Scottish football, and the only one that I would say that would probably merit outside the Celtic candidates would be Adam Rooney from Aberdeen. He scored 25, 26 goals this year, so still the hardest part of the game is scoring goals, and if you're scoring 25 goals in an Aberdeen team in the Premier League, that's definitely worth some sort of credit, I suppose. That's the only one I can think of.
Absolutely.
So, but out with him...
Dundee United players, Pat? No Dundee United players?
Well, Armstrong would be the only one. Yeah, would probably be the only candidate from them.
Seeing as they are your kind of second favourite team in the world.
Well, they're probably my first favourite team, but anyway, it's another story. That's what But
did you hear that, boys? Yeah. Dirty Bassa.
Dirty Bassa. Stuart Armstrong's probably the only one.
We need to find a new producer.
But who else? So Inverness. Inverness. I can't really think of anybody who's sort of stands out. The guy Shinnie, maybe, I don't know, but
Christ, I couldn't even tell you his first name.
It's Andrew. There's two Shinnies, two brothers. I forget which one plays for them. There's Andrew and what the guy is? Is Billy Mackay still play for them? No, he's left. He left, I think. But apart from Adam Rooney, I can't think of anybody else in Scottish football that would probably merit it. So let's go on to the Celtic players.
Because I'm with Liam. I don't, as I've said before, I don't really pay too much attention at all to any other team in Scottish football. It's just Celtic for me, and who we're playing against.
Connor in the chat room saying that Marley Watkins from Inverness, he's been their sort of star player for the year. So
Marley Watkins.
Yeah, it's a name I've heard. I'll be honest with you. I think he's a winger.
Well, we'll see him.
Connor can. Keep an eye. So I think he's a winger. I can't quite remember. Left winger, but Connor is in the chat room. Just tell me if that's right or not. If it's a guy
let's hope, Connor, that he doesn't do himself any favours tomorrow when we play them.
Or in the semi-final.
He doesn't win himself any votes in that.
Actually, just on Connor in the chat room posted a picture he made of the 65 Cup winners team. If you can put that on Twitter, Connor, then we'll retweet it. It's a cracking picture. If anyone's in the chat room, just go and have a look. There's a link. He's got it to. Where is it? I've moved the window away now. It's one of those tiny pics. Actually, I can probably do it myself. But if you've got a Twitter account, Connor, tweet that out, and I'll retweet it from the Half World Away one. It's a pretty good picture. Actually, I might send it to you guys on Facebook. You can have a look yourself, boys. But
fair enough. Okay. So in terms of Martin, have you got any other views on anybody outside the Celtic team first before we start talking about Celtic here, and who could potentially be challenging for Player of the Year in the top league?
No, because they're all pish.
Right, fair enough. Right, let's go on to Celtic then. So Liam, let's come at you first. In terms of the Celtic candidates then, because there could be a few. I think I'd seen an interview with Chris Commons. I can't remember, was it his pre-match or post-match interview? I think it was a pre-match media conference or something like that before the Thistle game, and then they were talking about this kind of stuff. Now, obviously, Chris Commons won it out of the park last season because he really did stand out head and shoulders above everybody because of the amount of goals he scored plus his consistent performances. What Commons was saying himself this season is that in terms of even the Celtic team, there's been a lot of really good consistent performers at different parts of the season, but there's not really been any one individual that's stood out so much head and shoulders above anybody or everybody else. And I must admit, I do kind of agree with that, but in my own mind, I've got quite a few candidates that could be in the running for it. So what's your own thoughts, Liam? Is there anybody that stands out head and shoulders for you that should be our Player of the Year? Or are there quite a few in that you maybe throw up there that are in with a shout?
I think what you've got to remember is there's players who have gone through like good spells and quiet spells throughout the season, right? Like there's been periods where Griffiths has been untouchable. There was a period where Guidetti was untouchable. So but for me, I think that it's just a personal thing. But I think Player of the Year should always be about consistency throughout the whole season. So for that reason alone, there are three players I would narrow it down to.
Yeah,
I would say either Virgil van Dijk. Craig Gordon or Scott Brown. Okay,
and your reasons for each of them, Liam?
Well, I think if you look at, when you think of the way what Craig Gordon was at the start of the season, everyone's like, "Oh God, you get rid of Fraser Forster and we get this," But I actually think now, quite confidently, say he's a better keeper than Forster was. I think
it's a big call. Yeah.
He commands the box better. He's more agile. I think his reactions are better. Foster was a great keeper, but he did have a tendency to sometimes kind of go down in installments, Whereas Gordon will spring across the goal, with really fast reflexes, and I think that's I think he's a great keeper. I really do.
Yeah.
So I would say that's why I would nominate him. Van Dijk has just been the most consistent of our defenders this season.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Scott Brown, just as every year goes past, he becomes more and more of what I think a Celtic captain should be. He's grown into it. When he first became a captain, I thought he's a wee hothead, a good player, but a hothead. He's no captaincy material. But now, I can't imagine him not being the captain.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it's a cliche, but he has grown into the role, and it really has made him a better player, I think. And this season, he has been consistent. Maybe not always our best player, but always in our top 3 or 4 performers on the pitch, I think, in each game.
No, I'd find it difficult to argue with those 3 as contenders, Liam. What about yourself, Martin? Have you got anybody else you would add to that list, or do you disagree with Liam?
No, I pulled up the squad just to check if I'd missed MD. Griffiths at times I think has been brilliant, but then at times not. Guidetti at one point I thought would have romped it and has really fallen over it, and it's quite funny how before Christmas everybody was talking about get him snapped up, definitely get him a long term deal, and I think Celtic's done the right thing, and I personally don't think he'll be here after the summer. I don't know if there's been any announcements or anything, but I don't think he'll be here after the summer. Van Dijk's been brilliant. Gordon, total consistency, kept us in games, and just throughout the year, I think he's had 1 or 2 small mistakes, but basically he's a keeper. It has to be. And then Brown, and it's funny, Scott Brown, I think when we signed him, I wasn't sure about him, and he's just brilliant. He just is. Now, there's the odd time he does something stupid, but realistically, I think he's the heart and soul of the team, and he just bosses games, and he's absolutely brilliant. And I as I said at the start, didn't fancy him when we signed him, and thought we paid too much for him. And who was it that went to? Was it Thompson went to the Huns?
Yeah, Kevin Thompson.
Aye, and
they played as a partnership. Yeah,
I thought they got the better part of that deal, and Jesus, I was wrong. But I'm also the guy who thought John Barnes would be a good manager, and thought Ian Wright was a great signing, and never rated that guy Lugo or that Henrik Larsson. So obviously,
after his first game, I think we probably were all in the same boat at that time, Martin. When he teed up Chick Charlie.
But no, see, like I didn't rate him, and thought we paid too much for him, and I think he's just been absolutely brilliant for us. And I'd say agree with Liam. I think he's grown into the captaincy. So
yeah. I would certainly echo that in terms of Scott Brown, that's for sure. Pat, what about yourself? Is there anybody else you would think would thrown into the mix for our Player of the Year?
Almost same as you guys. Primarily part of the spine of the team. So Gordon, just for the fact that his European performances and early sort of league performances. Well, actually, not even early league performance. His league performances all through the year has been spectacular. And so I think it was somebody tweeted as well. The fact Alistair Jacket the fact he's out of the game for 2 years.
Yep.
Comes back and plays the way he has. So Alistair said definitely Player of the Year for him. Van Dijk would be the other one, and for obvious reasons because he's a class act. But instead of Brown, I would have Johansson personally. I think Johansson's been absolutely brilliant this year, but that's just my take on it. Not that I've necessarily disliked Brown's performances this year, but I think Johansson just playing a brilliant role for us at the moment, so he would be my third candidate for it. And if anyone, I don't know if it's purely a Scottish player thing, but if anyone out with Denier wins the Young Player of the Year, there is something seriously wrong with Scottish football. He has been absolutely
wrong with Scottish football. So
I don't know. Like but the thing is, it might only be Scottish candidates. I don't know. I don't know whether Young Player.
No, I don't think so, Pat. No, I don't think so. It's just whoever's the best young player in the league. So I don't think it should come down to that. But I hadn't considered that as I'd forgotten about the whole Young Player of the Year thing actually. But yeah, no, that's a good point.
So yeah, anything out with him, but I reckon out one of those 3. I mean, Brown's been good, but I just think the role that Johansson's playing and that sort of offensive element to his game Because I said that still the hardest part of the game is to score goals, and he's been doing that for us and making goals for us. So not that Brown hasn't, but I just think for me, Johansson's been just a little bit better this year than Brown. But that's my take.
Well, I think before I give you my views on it, we had a tweet as well from We're Laughing at the Big House on Twitter as well, who says, "Yous might be spraffing shite, but it's good shite." I've never heard the word spraffing in my life.
No.
Where does that come from? At the Big House, you'll need to tweet us back and tell us a bit more about spraffing. It's maybe a new phrase that's come into being since I left Scotland.
Young cool people's type saying
could
that
be.
Don't understand.
I like your old spraffing. It's fair enough. Can't argue it. And Connor, thanks for tweeting. We've retweeted your picture that you've sent in there as well of the 1965 Cup winning Celtic team. It's been a black and white photograph and it's been tarted up in colour. It looks
I think
pretty
Connor's done that himself
fine,
by the looks of it, so it's quite impressive.
Let us know if you have, Connor, because it's very impressive if you have. The goalkeeper's hair looks a tad gingerish, mind you. Let me zoom in on this a minute. Oh, it's exceptionally ginger. But this looks like good work, mate. But anyway,
Pack Boy in the chat rooms saying Beaton, he reckons, is a shout for young players.
Well, Pack Boy, I must admit, I've actually got 6 candidates, boys.
You can't have 6. You can only have 3.
No, listen, we didn't have that. That was never said as a rule.
Liam just
making the rule up he just gave me 3, and then you two guys followed.
We're trying to keep it to under an hour, and we're at an hour and 32 minutes.
No, we're 76 minutes.
No, we've got another, say, 15 minutes to go, which will just be about right. Honestly, there's 6 players that I have in mind for different reasons as well, and I'll tell you them. I would agree, starting from the back, Craig Gordon, absolutely. And I think, see the point that Alistair did make about the being out for 2 years. That's got to go some way in the consideration of why you would nominate him as a player of the year. You take that into consideration, the whole circumstances. I think it's fair to do that, and you take that into consideration to base how he's done those kind of circumstances and things like that. So for me, he's been outstanding. I think, as you said earlier on, Liam, as well, when we lost Fraser Foster, we were all probably worried about who would come in and fill those boots and those gloves, but and we thought, would we get somebody even somewhere near as good as Foster? But I would agree. I think we've got somebody better than Foster in now, and it's not just that. He seems a likeable guy, Craig Gordon. He seems a really pleasant guy. He seems a real professional. He doesn't hide behind the fact that he's a born and bred Hearts fan either. A Jambo, he doesn't say, oh, I've always wanted to play for Celtic or that, but he does still give you the impression that he's really, really enjoying playing for Celtic, and he is one of those guys that, in a similar way to maybe likes a Scott Brown is for us now as well. He's never a born Celtic fan, but the longer he's with the club, and let's hope if he stays injury free, and he would want to see his career out at Celtic. He's got maybe another 4 or 5 years in him yet, and if he can maintain the form and maintain his fitness, I'd love to see Craig Gordon see out his career at Celtic. And he could become a bit of a Celtic legend in between the sticks. So that's why, again, I would agree. I'd have certainly Craig Gordon as a candidate. Coming out from the back, Virgil van Dijk. Anybody that listens to me on this bloody podcast knows what I think of Virgil van Dijk. He's the best centre-half I've ever seen play for Celtic. That's how highly I rate the guy. My second best centre-half that I ever saw playing for Celtic was Paul Elliott. So I guess that gives you an idea of the esteem I hold that guy in. In fact, just going back to Craig Gordon, the only downside was these 2 mistakes against Inter Milan. They're the only things that I think he's done wrong at all for us this season. But yeah, Big Virgil for me, absolutely superb player. Every single game, just his consistency. okay. I think that some people were a little bit critical of him during Champions League and how he steps up, but I'm happy to take that just now. There's still a player in there, and an even better player to be developed in there. As far as Virgil's concerned, just the whole way he approaches the game, he's not afraid to take the ball out of defence. The guy, as a defender, he's rock solid. He wins nearly everything in the air. He's calm under pressure. He can weigh in with a few goals with his head or with his feet, and he can stride forward and smack them from a distance as well. I think he's just, as a centre half, I think the guy's immense, and I'll be very sad when he leaves Celtic, whenever that may be. Hopefully we are able to hang on to him for maybe another season or even half a season. But yeah, if we could, I'd be absolutely delighted. My next nomination is his partner at the back, and it's the Young Player of the Year candidate, Jason Denayer. Again, I think not only is Big Virgil my favourite centre half that I've ever seen, I wouldn't rate Denayer as highly as I rated Paul Elliott, but he's not far behind. I think I've said on here before as well, in terms of a back pairing as centre halves, Denayer and Van Dijk they're the best I've seen at Celtic, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. We've had some good partnerships in the past. Big Stubbsy and Mark Reaper springs to mind for me as a partnership, but there aren't too many really, really good partnerships. I suppose you could I would maybe think in Mjällby and Baldy at different times, but they weren't as consistently good and solid and comfortable as Van Dijk and Denayer. And I think the reason for our vast improvement as the seasons went on is largely down to how those boys are just so calm at the back in front of Craig Gordon, and how they can bring the ball out. They never seem to panic. And again, Denayer, very similar to Van Dijk, he's weighed in with a few goals for us this season. So yeah, Pat, I would agree with you in terms of a Young Player of the Year. I'd say it's got to be Denayer, but he would still be a candidate for me for Player of the Season for Celtic. We're down to my final three. And,
come on, get a move on, because we're now 82 minutes in, and we're only going to do this for an hour and a half. So
yeah, that's right.
20 seconds
so
to
my
do
final three, very quickly then. I'll say Scott Brown. Yeah, definitely he's considered. For all the same reasons that you guys have said, I think Scott Brown, he's grown not just as a Celtic captain, but just as a player. His maturity now is, he can still be a bit of dafty and stuff like that, but he still shows that level of maturity that when you look back at when he was first playing with Hibs, he just seemed to be an absolute maddie. But he's got that controlled aggression. He's got that arrogance that we like to see, and he does the unfashionable stuff in terms of the job he's got at Celtic. But in terms of being a captain, you can tell with the players, and when you hear them getting interviewed, they know how important Scott Brown is to that team. And he doesn't let us down, let's face it. When he's playing for us, he very, very rarely lets us down, so he'd be in the run for it. The other one would be Stefan Johansson, for the same reasons you talked about. I think he's a lot of people's favourite for it, just because of the energy the guy gives. Weighs in with a lot of goals as well, and he's settling into Scottish football really well. I think the guy will only get better, and he does strike me as the type of guy that would be quite happy to stay at Celtic for a few years. I think you get that from the kind of Scandinavian players, a bit of loyalty, that kind of thing. And my final candidate would be another midfielder. It'd be Nir Bitton. Now he's not played the full season. We know he'd been injured for a while, which held him back a little bit. But since he's come into the team again, like Denayer and Van Dijk, I think he's a main reason why we improved so much during the course of the season. He shows a good composure on the ball. He's strong on the ball. He's quite a tall player, but he can pick a pass, and yeah, he can be composed. He can break up moves. I'd really love to see him maybe get forward a little bit more, because I think he could have that in his game. I'd love to see him bag a few more goals. I think he's only scored one goal for us, if he scored any for us. But he certainly does play more of that holding kind of role anyway. But for me, I think the only reason he might not get a Player of the Year is because he was out for quite a substantial period of time. But he's somebody that, again, if he can steer clear of injury, that next year you'd be looking for him to push on. So I'm sorry, guys, I couldn't keep it down to 3, but there's 6 nominations for me. But I think it speaks volumes that we've got, in my view, 6 players this season who have been really, really good for us. Whereas maybe last season, Commons was head and shoulders above absolutely everybody else. He really was, and that's why he won that. But whoever's going to win it, I think, will deserve it, as long as it's a Celtic player. But anyway, that's me said my very long piece on it, guys. So who are we going for? If we had to just pick one, who do we reckon's going to get it then? We've given our nominations, but if we had to pick one, Liam.
Craig Gordon.
Martin.
Van Dijk.
Pat.
Craig Gordon.
Ooh, and I'm going to go for Van Dijk. So it's 2v2 in this. Funnily enough,
Scott Brown in. Yeah.
Funnily enough, nobody went for Johansson, who's your kind of bookie's favourite for it. So we'll see how it pans out. Let us know your own views, folks, if you are listening, whether it's now or whether you listen back later on. Send your tweet to @halftheworld88 and let us know who your Celtic Player of the Year is going to be. So, guys,
well, Corpac Boy has said Gordon Defo in the chat room, and his centre half, I'm not sure it's pairing as such, but his he reckons Van Dijk, then Elliott, then Mialby, then Reaper. That's his favourite centre halves.
Fair enough.
I'm taking so.
Fair enough. What about your favourite centre half pairing though, Corpac Boy? If you can think back through the years, who would your actual pairing that played together be? And they had to have played together.
The guys at Myrtle Beach, Baw Deep, CSC, they think Bruni is going to win the Player of the Year.
Fair enough. I'll tell you something, guys. I would find it difficult to argue with the guys that we've all mentioned so far. Again, I've got my own views on it, as I've said there, and I probably would just go for Virgil. But very, very closely followed by any of those others we've talked about. So you won't get any arguments from me with these guys you're mentioning, that's for sure, because I think they all deserve to be up there in the nominations, that's for sure. But yeah, I would definitely be interested to hear people's views on it. So
the absolute certainty then is Adam Rooney's going to get it. It's going to be
that's Liam's theory, isn't it? That's Liam's theory that's what the buggers will do. Certainly, maybe the Scottish Football Writers Player of the Year will maybe see Adam Rooney get it to see if that evens things up.
Yep. To be fair though, I mean, it's still the hardest part of the game. So if you're knocking 25 goals in a year, you'd be kind of half expecting to be at least very much in the running for it. But that's my take. If I was a Celtic player scoring 25 goals this year, you'd be saying absolute prime candidate for Player of the Year.
That's fair call, mate. Fair call, Patrick.
And Connor's wrong. Tom Rogic is not going to win Player of the Year.
You never know.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Poor Tommy Rogic. He's just back now, really, pretty much from his bad injuries, isn't he?
I think he got injured again.
You're joking me.
No, he played. He played one reserve game, let's face it. And then
development squad game.
Yeah, development squad night off at half time, and I think he played his second game and get subbed after half an hour with an injury.
With an injury?
I think so.
Bloody hell.
I know.
He's one of these guys, that's just a tragedy if he is, or he's just a
some things are just not meant to be. So.
Yeah, that's very true. And of course, us being based, 3 of the 4 of us being based in Oz, he's one of the guys that we over here would love to see doing well because the added coverage that he would get and stuff like that as well, especially if he was involved in the Aussie, the Socceroos squad and stuff like that. But
see, one of the disappointing things is Kev, he's going to come back here and they're going to blame Celtic and they're going to blame Scottish football for his failure, you know what I mean? And that's
possibly.
So in a way, when it works out, when you've got Scott McDonald scoring lots of goals and the high profile of Mark Viduka, it's all well and great. But see when things go wrong, it's everyone apart from the player's fault.
Well, if they do though, Pat, that's when we get tore into the media or whoever's doing it at the time, and let's let them know that no, he's been an injury prone bassa. So get it up, he's
only got 22 or something years old.
He's still only a young guy, but again, if you know the Tom Rogic story, he was very late into the game. He won a bloody competition, didn't he, through Nike?
That's right.
That's how he got his contract with the Central Coast Mariners, and he did really well there, and then that's how he kind of get noticed. And anyway, the rest, as you say, is history, and by the sounds of things, Tommy Rogic could be his Celtic career, that's for sure.
Yep.
Right, guys, very quickly, we've got another, as the title of the show was, the old Jags. We've got the Inverness Cali version of them on Saturday. Now, as Pat mentioned right back at the start of the show, for us guys half the world away, it's pretty decent kick-off times, unless you have a life and you are going out on a Saturday night. But I will be, because I'll be going to Friar Tuck's to watch the game. It's a convenient and family-friendly 7:45 p.m. kick-off in Western Australia for the game, so I'll be in Friar Tuck's with Mandara CSC to watch that. How many will be there, God only knows. There's only probably a handful going to be there tomorrow night, I think, from what I gather. But we'll still make a bit of noise and enjoy a bit of a sing-song and watch the game anyway. Looking forward to it again. It's always a bit of a tough game up at Inverness, and Big Yogi Hughes has had them, as he always tends to do. Let's face it, whatever team Big Yogi goes to, he always tends to do quite well with them and gets them playing fairly decent football. So I think it will be a tough game, but I still think we're going to run out winners. But I'll save my score prediction until I've heard from you boys. Liam, how do you think it's going to go Saturday night our time against Cali Thistle up in Inverness?
2-1 Celtic.
2-1 Celtic. Is that what? How's the scoring going to go?
I think they might score first.
Oh, nervy. I don't like
a
that.
half-time, full-time turnaround.
Okay. So a 1-0 half-time to Cali Thistle, 2-1 Celtic.
Right.
Who's getting the goals for Celtic?
Oh, I don't know. Let's say Van Dijk and Johansson.
Okay, Van Dijk, Johansson. Thanks, Liam. What about yourself, Martin? Scoreline and prediction for the game?
4-3 Celtic.
Oh, Jesus. Yes.
3-0 down at half time.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Win it. Van Dijk in the last minute.
Header
for a corner.
Header for a corner. 4-3 from Martin. Okay, we'll see how that goes.
And actually, all the Celtic goals coming in the last 15 minutes.
Right. If I were you, get on to any bookmaker you like and ask them for a price for that prediction and see how you go.
I think they'll generally hang up the phone on me because they think I'm talking rubbish.
No, it'd be like taking money off a baby. Just ask them for a price. I'd be very surprised if for that very scenario, you don't get 1,000 to 1.
Oh, see.
It'd be worth.
You wouldn't get 1,000 to 1 for that. Don't talk rubbish.
What? 3-0 to Cali Thistle at half time, 4-3 to Celtic at full time.
Well, who's going to do that? Okay. I thought you were talking about 4-3
I don't think you got 1,000 to 1.
No, not the 4-3 scoreline. That wouldn't be as much. It's certainly nowhere near as much as that. No, just that very scenario. But it is what it is. Martin, have you ever had a prediction right on this pod?
Not even close, mate.
But you do like going for the nice wild things anyway, so it's always...
Look, if you're going to go for a prediction, go for a prediction. Put it out there. Have some balls, put them on the line.
All right, Kev. You have now got me so hooked on online betting. I just had a quick check of Bet365.
Yeah, the best one out there.
4-3 scoreline is $251.
There you go. So 250 to 1 basically. I'm surprised it's as high as that. I thought it would have been about 50 to 1. But fair enough. Martin, you should definitely have.
Wait a second. Wait a minute. It's Inverness. That's for Inverness to win 4-3. It's only 101.
Only $101, right? So it's 100 to 1 basically. Still higher than I thought it would have been. That's definitely worth a tenner, Martin.
But could we get a half-time, full-time? So 3 up at half-time?
I don't know.
Inverness. Nah, I don't think you'd see a price for that. You'd maybe you'd get a price for Inverness half time, just no score lines, but you'd get a price for Inverness to be winning half time, Celtic full time.
Here we go. So I've got a half time correct score for Inverness 3-0, $151.
Right, and then full time corrects. So there you go. You need to do a double. So 150 to 1 for 3-0 at half time, and then 4-3 full time score is 100 to 1. Nice wee double, mate.
Right. Tell you, you've heard it here first, boys.
A nice wee double. 2 singles and a double. You're laughing if you get that. See, if I don't want that to come up, Martin, just because there would be palpitations. But especially if we were 3-0 down at half time, I don't think it'd be a great fun. Friar Tucks.
Keeps it interesting. Shows the fighting spirit and everything.
But if you can guarantee me it's going to finish 4-3 to Celtic, and that's the way it happens, it would be one of the best games of the season.
And the
four goals in the last 15 minutes, and Van Dijk with a header in the last minute. They'll be the most mental 15 minutes in Friar Tuck's history if that happens, mate.
And then
the after-match party will be superb as well.
In the words of George Michael, you've got to have faith.
Mm-hmm. You do. Sorry, I'm just having a little swig on my Heineken there. I've had a little servant bringing me some Heineken in tonight as well, which is actually a very bad thing to do, but it's been very appreciated, I have to say. Brian Burns just tweeted in to say, half the world away is on now. Magic. Well done, lads. Hail, hail. Thank you, Brian. Very kind of you to say so, mate. So, Patrick, what's your score prediction against the Cali Jags?
I'm going to go a 2-0. 2 goals to 0. It's going to be Gary Mackay-Steven.
Oh.
And Lee Griffiths. And somebody this time is definitely going to score an overhead kick. I'm just going to keep saying it until somebody actually does that.
Until somebody does it. It could happen. It could happen.
Actually, somebody's going to score with an overhead kick before the end of the season. Okay, there you go. It's going to be an absolute stonker. Overhead kick. There you go. You heard it here first. Get that on Bet365. Go on, I dare you.
Have a look. You'd need to phone them up for a price on that one, I reckon. West Coast Eagles final score 131, Carlton 62. Stevie Fallons will be happy.
He will be. The Aussie Rolls is back, boys. I've actually got a nice little double tomorrow night. So I'll be off to Mass for the vigil Mass, and then come home, watch the St Kilda game, and then I'll sit down and watch the Celtic game right after it. Happy days. That's my night.
Happy days. But poor old St Kilda will probably get pumped, mate, won't they?
Oh, I'm alright. That's fine. It's all just we're a young team developing.
Just building, just developing. Just watch them get pumped every single game this season.
They did well last week against
what it's like to be a Sevconian.
It's not quite that bad. Fucking hell, serious. No, we've got just about the youngest team in the league, so we're I'm happy the way things are going at the moment. We're building for things in 3-4 years' time when we've got a bit of experience and stuff. So happy days. I'm happy with it. And I'd be pissed off if we didn't finish bottom because I still want that number 1 draft pick. That's the sad way it gets when you want your team. So basically, the lower you finish in the league, the better draft picks you get. So the better young players. So yeah, I can't see anybody.
Quite happy about that.
I wouldn't say I'm happy. I still want to win a few games in the year, but I wouldn't mind if we're building for something in 2-3 years' time. I wouldn't mind getting the good players, the best young player at the moment. So, but anyway, that's another story.
It is.
So let's look at right. So we've spoke about politics, AFL, Rangers, Maggie Thatcher. What else? So on the list of things we actually had to talk about, Melbourne Knights.
Aye.
The things that we actually put down the list to actually talk about. I think we got the first one.
Yeah.
And we're doing
Player of the year.
Oh, we did Player of the Year as well.
And the final one. Aye, that's about it.
So anyway, Kevin, what's your prediction for Saturday?
Yes. Saturday, well, funnily enough, Patrick, I'm also going for a 2-0 Celtic because I think this is a very popular scoreline for us this season in a number of games. And funnily enough, Patrick, one of the goal scorers I predict will be Gary Mackay-Steven, but I think the other one will be Stefan Johansson. Yes, I think it'll be another clean sheet, though, guys. I cannot see Cali Thistle scoring. Mainly due to the fact that Effie Ambrose hopefully won't be playing. Although that's a bit harsh on Effie.
That is harsh.
I just think our defence has been very good, and it's going to take something to get past Big Virgil and Denier and Craig Gordon, 3 Player of the Year candidates. So yeah, 2-0 for me to the Glasgow Celtic and Gary Mackay-Steven and Stefan Johansson. And I think, gents, are you going to be watching it at Pint on Punt, Patrick?
Probably not at this stage, but who knows?
It's 9:45 at night. I'll take it it'll be on there though. Will they be showing it there?
Actually, yeah, we. I don't know actually, because I think they might have got rid of Celtic TV. I think they were having so many issues with it. They might have canned it.
That it was poor. Speaking of Pint on Punt, how could I forget this? But Asterisk skiers, Paul Larkin. Paul Larkin, one of our men that started up this very podcast and famous green and white writer from HailHailMedia and Homeboys. Paul's in the middle of his Aussie tour right now, and he's already played Melbourne, and he's already played.
He's in Brisbane right this very second.
He's at Brisbane now.
Right at this very second. Yep.
Is he not in Sydney now?
No,
is it next?
He's in Brisbane tonight, and then he's in Sydney tomorrow night.
Oh yes. And then he's in Perth a week tomorrow, so that's the 18th at Rosie's. But Pat, you went along yourself, and Martin, you went along as well, didn't you, to the documentary, the Asterisk Years documentary, which I'm sure, if anybody listens to this, I'm sure you listen to Homeboys, so you'll all know about Paul's book and his documentary. But Pat and Martin, you guys went along to Pint on Punt, and I'd read Paul's article on HailHailMedia. He'd written that about. It was again a superb night. There was about 50 odd people there in attendance, which, given the fact it was Easter weekend, I think was pretty bloody good. Pretty bloody good turnout. But what was your thoughts on it, guys? I've never read the Asterisk Years book. I'm not a huge reader anyway, but I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary. I've seen the little teasers and the little trailers, and I've obviously heard a lot about it and a lot of people's views on it, and listening to the Homeboys and stuff like that as well. You hear about how it's been well received right across the world, so I'm looking forward to our turn in Perth on the 18th. But without giving too much away, how did it go down in Melbourne as locals? Pat?
This is my take on it, that I had so much stuff to do that it kind of passed in a bit of a blur. That's being totally blunt with you. Because I was, between myself and Sean Fitzgerald was looking after Paul when he was here, so he's running around after him. And we had a few discussions with the sort of main techie guy regarding the audio and the video and stuff like that. And so I had to go up there on Good Friday and meet with him, and Paul was there and Sean, so we're all having a chat to him. And but they didn't even have a laptop or anything to actually try the thing out on, so I was back up there for a couple of hours on the Saturday morning trying to do all the stuff again, and then I was doing all the sort of computer controls and the music and stuff on the Saturday night. I did not have my first drink until about half an hour after the thing had finished. I had that much stuff to do, so I could
producer extraordinaire.
Oh, it was. I'll be honest with you, it was just one of those. I guess it was kind of like our early podcast. It's just a relief when it goes off without a hitch. First thing, we turned up. It was meant to start sort of around the 8 o'clock mark, and so the idea was that 7 o'clock people start rocking up, and there was a band on beforehand, and they were meant to finish at 7 o'clock. So we got there about 7:10, thinking that'll be right. They'll be gone, done their thing. But sure enough, the band's in full flight, so they didn't get off the little stage there till about 25 past. So we're already behind schedule at that stage. We still had to distribute tickets to people. We had to get people that had to pay for tickets, had to get them sorted out, and we have to get clear everyone out of the part of the bar where we were doing this thing and get places closed up so we can get people have to come in with tickets. You have to get wristbands, and it was like, oh Jesus man, it was just a flipping nightmare. So I swear to God, it was half an hour after the thing had finished before I actually sat down and had my first drink. So
first swally.
Yeah, and it honestly just passed in that much of a blur. That's what it kind of felt like. I just remember
Did you...
probably. Yep, sorry.
Oh, sorry, when you go for it.
No, I can kind of the only bits that, again, it's just more of a kind of a stressful kind of time. You want everybody to have a good time, and there was like a singer there, a guy, Richie, I can't remember his surname now, from his
Beno.
Bride. No, Richie Beno. God bless him.
R.I.P. Richie Beno.
Richie Beno. If you're not a cricket fan, that'll mean nothing to you, but very famous cricket commentator over here passed away today, so real nice guy actually. I liked Richie Beno. But anyway, so so you had the singer sort of stuff after it as well. So the Q&A, I couldn't even tell you how long it lasted, because again I was on the stage because the audio guy had told me that you have to be careful of feedback, because with a wireless mic going round to people asking questions, and I can remember a single question that someone asked, and it was this guy, and he was like right in front of the stage thing, and he turned around to Paul and he said, "You're from Edinburgh, so why don't you support Hibs?"
Oh, actually, Paul had mentioned that in his article, actually.
I think
Are you effing joking or something?
I think the guy might be a Hibs supporter. I think that's maybe why he asked it. I think if it's a guy I'm thinking of, there is a Hibs supporter comes to a few of our functions and stuff, so it may well have been a Hibs supporter that asked the question. So, and then we had actually, were you still there, Martin, at the raffle?
I when you won.
And I won, but I didn't know what I'd won.
Did you organise it?
No.
Pat organised it.
I did not organise the raffle. But the only thing I didn't do. And I just thought it was one of Paul's books, because I think 2 of the prizes were signed Ask the Skiers books from Paul.
Yeah.
And I just did the whole thing, get it right up ease, and then somebody handed me this flipping Captain's Edition Celtic watch. And a lovely little case and stuff, so...
Very good.
Yeah, and then I decided I can't accept it, so I'm going to give it back. And then I got ridiculed for giving it back, and they started singing...
Why could you not accept it?
They started singing, keep the watch, keep the watch, keep the watch. Every man himself. So I was, I ended up keeping it. But
could you not accept it because you ran the raffle or something?
I didn't run the raffle, no. I didn't run the raffle.
Why didn't you accept it then?
Well, I did in the end, because I was...
Okay.
But, and we'll speak to Martin about this once we finish, but we will be doing another bit of a fundraiser, because, well, Kev, you know the people I'm talking about. A couple of people in our supporters club have had a bit of a sort of family issue, I guess, where one of the... I don't want to talk too much about it, I'll start welling up, but some very good friends of mine and very good friends of Martin and very good friends of our supporters club have had some bad news in the family, that there's a bit of an illness that may well be terminal, but we're kind of hoping that there's good news coming out of it, but things aren't looking too good at the moment, and we love the folk, and we're going to try and do a bit of fundraiser for them, because it's all a bit hard, and it's been a bit of a shock. So the watch will be going straight into any fundraiser we do for them, for any sort of raffle. So we'll maybe talk about that another day.
Yeah, so. Definitely. I think once you've spoken to a few people over there and sort a few things out, I think, as you said, Pat, we'll certainly, in terms of all the Aussie supporters clubs, we'll certainly rally around anything that you guys are going to plan or coming up with regarding some fundraising. So keep us in touch with that, and we'll probably try and mention something on here another time as well.
Yeah, well, genuine Celtic fans, originally from East Kilbride, they're just salt of the earth, brilliant people, and against hit the family pretty hard. To get 2 sons in the family, one of them's quite young, so but we'll talk about that maybe in a month or so. But we're going to try and do a bit of a fundraiser or something for them. I don't know what we'll do. I've never done that sort of thing. In fact, there's a question for everyone out there. If anyone has actually any ideas about doing fundraising for things, any ideas would probably go down pretty well. So maybe just send us an email, either the Half the World Away address or even just the Supporters Club address. We've got a Gmail one that we've been using, which is just jocksteincsc@gmail.com. But I said I've never had to do anything sort of like that, and Martin's maybe got a bit more experience in doing certain functions and stuff, so maybe he'll take the mantle on that one. I don't know, but so if anyone's any ideas, then fire them through to us, and we'll sort of implement them at our club and see if we can do something similar. So but so that's kind of my take on the night. It was I win a watch, literally. So
You want to watch,
the rest,
mate?
the rest of it is a bit of a blur. So I was just like, I'll be honest with you. Once the thing finished and you see the credits coming up, it was just like a whole sort of relief. And then when the singer came on and he was belting out a few tunes, he was absolutely excellent, as he has been the past couple of times I've seen him down there.
Yeah.
Lots of Celtic songs and Rebel songs and Irish stuff, so it was excellent. So it turned out a nice wee night.
That's good. But so you literally can't really remember much of the actual point of the whole night, which was the documentary itself.
I remember, what I can vaguely remember is probably the last 15 minutes of it, because at that point you're looking at it going, right, I'm on the home straight, everything's working okay. Like no one's, the place has gone quiet, there's no one sort of trying to shuffle out, there's no one talking over the top of it and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, Paul was as calm as anything, so he's done this 100 times, but for me,
I guess what he has, he's done so many of them now, it must be like just old hat. As long as things can, I know he's obviously seen it himself numerous times, so he'll be pretty calm about the whole thing. I guess it's just as long as every venue's set up for it, it's all right.
He openly admitted that he's stressed up until the point where he knows when the audio and video are actually going to work. So
yeah.
And that was a bit, like it was my laptop, it was there, it was my cables that were there, it was, and all that, and it was me pressing the button, it was me, and I just felt, a little bit, a wee bit stressed, and it was just a relief at the end of it when it all kind of went off. There was no issues. We got the timing right, the mic. He went on the stage and did for his Q&A thing, and the microphone stuffed up, and Richie, the entertainer, the singer guy, jumped on, and he sort of swapped over microphones with his, because he was basically getting up on the stage about 5 minutes after Paul finished, and that kind of helped as well. So yeah, it went off. That was about the only minor hitch we had, and it was a 30-second thing where the microphone wouldn't work. So, but yeah,
did Paul enjoy himself? And he sounded from what I'd read on the HailHailMedia website, he sounded as if he kind of enjoyed the experience anyway in Melbourne.
But again, see, I'll be totally blunt with you. I had that much stuff to do that I didn't really have time to talk to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the night when he's rocked up there, I think I spoke to him for no more than 5 minutes.
All right.
Because I was just running around trying to get people sorted, getting doors closed here, that bit moved, this bar moved, the chairs in, stuff like that. The pool table had to get moved, and it was just flipping chaos. So
putting down some sawdust on somebody's vomit.
I know, not quite that bad, but
not quite as bad as that.
All passed off without a hitch. We're very happy. For us, it was more like when we set all this sort of stuff up way back. Oh my God, it'd have been probably September, October last year, I think, maybe even before that. We kind of knew as a supporters club that it was Easter weekend, and Easter weekend in Melbourne is notoriously bad in the fact that a lot of families go away.
Yeah.
Just because it's like this kind of like the last decent weather you get before winter starts, the last sort of long weekend. So lots of families go away. Now we would have had very quickly, when we tried to get an idea of numbers, we would have had 20 or so regulars that said, well, I'm down the bay, or I'm going up to the family in country Victoria, or I'm going up to Queensland. We just had all these people saying that they couldn't come, so we were a touch nervous about how many were going to turn up. So 50 doesn't sound a lot, but for a long weekend in Melbourne at that time of year,
I think we did when we spoke about this during the week as well, Pat, and I think 50 was. I don't think it's just a Melbourne thing. See, Easter holidays at all. Well, let's face it, school holidays at all. You're always going to get people going away and stuff like that. But you're right, it's the same over here in Perth as well, Pat. As soon as it's Easter holidays, people are going away left, right, and centre. So you're always struggling to get people along to things as well. So especially something that's as how would you put it? It's kind of it's not everybody's cup of tea. I would say it's when I've been trying to drum up a bit of business over here about it as well. Unless you're unless you're an internet bampot, or you're an avid follower of Celtic online and the kind of social media, or listen to podcasts and that kind of stuff. Unless you do that, there's a good chance you've never even heard of Paul Larkin. You certainly wouldn't have heard of Asterisk Years, and you might not have. You wouldn't know about the documentary. And then when you're trying to explain it all briefly to somebody that's without doubt a Celtic fan, and we've got quite a few of them in our club that'll they'll know a game's on, and they'll come down to see the game. But like during the week and stuff like that, they wouldn't follow them. We've got a few older people as well in our club that would, they might not be on the internet, or if they are, they're certainly not just looking for Celtic stuff. They're maybe doing other things on it. So when you're trying to explain to them and drum up some business, we have a hard enough time sometimes getting people out to come down to Friar Tucks to watch Celtic games. So when you're saying, right, there's this thing on and it's a documentary and it's about how Rangers cheated and stuff like that, and they're kind of looking, yes, like, why the fuck would I want to watch that? You know what I mean? And it's kind of difficult to sell it to people that are. There's no question that they're Celtic fans, but they're just like, I'm not interested in Rangers. And you're like, well, that's not quite it. And I know, and I've listened to Paul explaining that all before, and it's not kind of all about Rangers, and it's not even just about how they cheated Celtic. It's about, from what I gather, it's how they cheated just right across the board in general. It's how they cheated Scottish football. So it wasn't just us that lost out in it. But I'll be honest, in terms of the Mandara CSC, I'm struggling to get numbers to go up to Perth. I've a funny feeling we'll still get good numbers in Perth. It's been Andy Gordon, Davy Barclay that are organising it from the Perth CSC point of view over here. Now Paul will fly in he'll fly into Perth on the Wednesday, which is working back 18th. What's that? 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th. Is that right?
15th Wednesday. Yep.
Aye, 15th. So Paul flies into, and again for people back home, and Paul will be realising this while he's out here, that Australia is a bloody massive country, if you don't already realise this, and so it's not like a little jaunt. He's on a plane for a half hour and an hour or something like that. His flight from Sydney to Perth will be best part of 5 hours, I would reckon, and that depends on what his headwind's like as well, because that can bugger things up. So it's quite a flight. So he'll be going back in time, sort of thing. Literally and metaphorically, but when he arrives in Perth, and I'm kind of hoping that he gets nice weather here, because as I said, the weather's been lousy in Perth the last few days, and it's meant to be for the rest of this weekend. Looking ahead to next week and next weekend, it's looking as if it should be a bit nicer, nice and sunny, and temperatures in the mid-20s. So hopefully Paul will enjoy that. But Paul's going to be here for a few days, so he's going to, even before the show, he'll have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And the plan, I think, if Paul's up for it, I don't even know, does Paul know this yet? Because I know it's Andy Gordon got in touch with us to say that on the Friday, maybe, if Paul's up for it, he'll come down to Mandara just to see the famous Friar Tucks, and just so we can see, because again, we're trying to, even although it's Perth CSC, I'm certainly not one to stand on the toes of Perth CSC, because as far as I'm concerned, they've organised this whole thing and they're doing pretty much everything for Paul's tour, and the asterisk here when it comes to Perth. But all I asked Perth was if they wouldn't mind, putting our kind of name to it. We'll be more than happy to do anything that Perth CSC want, whether it's chipping in a bit of money for something, or getting the posters done or flyers done or whatever it was, just so that we can still associate ourselves with it as a Western Australian Celtic supporters club. But I'm very conscious that I don't want to stand on Andy or Davy's toes with the organising stuff. But so the idea is, again, if Paul's up for it, and whether he knows it or not, he might say, bugger that, I'm not bothering my arse. But the idea would be he might come down to Mandara on the Friday. We'll have a wee bite to eat, we'll have a few beers, have the crack, and hopefully I might even be able to drum up a bit more business as well to take some more Mandara CSC people up to Perth. I'm sure Paul could sell the thing a lot better than I could. But yeah, that would be the idea on the Friday, and then on the Saturday, I must admit, I'm really looking forward to it, guys. I've heard about it for such a long period of time now, and this is the Aussie leg of Paul's tour. I hope personally that Paul's enjoyed his time in Australia, and that when he comes to Perth before he heads back on the Monday, he's had a really good experience. The documentaries went down, or the doco as we call it in Oz, has went down well over here, and he's enjoyed his time, his first visit to Australia, and he goes back with some good memories. And hopefully, between the Mandurah CSC and the Perth CSC, we'll be able to give him a good send off. I think he'll be impressed with the Celtic room in Rosie O'Grady's in Perth. It's a pretty impressive venue to watch Celtic in, or to have any Celtic related event in. Anybody that's been there will know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a shrine to Celtic, and it's a fairly large area with a nice stage and big screens and all that. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be a great night. A week tomorrow. When we've got the Asterisk gears there as well. So
I'll just do a quick. So tomorrow night, so the moment it's Friday and the 10th in Australia. So tomorrow night, probably a bit late for most people, but if anyone's listening to it, he's in Sydney at what's it called again? Cheers Bar, isn't it? Cheers Bar on George Street.
Cheers. Yep.
Yep. On the Saturday 11th. So he's currently in Brisbane tonight. So I've actually just sent a message to Chris McMonigal to see if he's on Skype just for a laugh.
He's probably on right now, actually. Aye.
Yeah, well, he would have finished by now, and he's probably done his Q&A, and he's probably getting half cut. But anyway, so tomorrow night he's in Sydney, which is on Saturday, April the 11th. I can't remember what they're charging for tickets. I think it's $10 from memory. I think again, money's going to. Actually, that's one thing I might say about our place as well, is we raised some money for a local charity. It's called the Sacred Heart Mission. I don't know if you caught that, Martin, at the end of it. So Sacred Heart Mission it's a little bit, what would it be? I guess like Mary's Meals kind of thing. They look after sort of the underprivileged and sort of hungry people around the sort of Bayside area of Melbourne. So the base of Sacred Heart Mission is a church, the Sacred Heart Church, and it's about a 5-minute walk from where we show the game. So we thought that was an appropriate thing to do, and so we raised about, I think it was either 805 or 895, I can't remember the figure they said for that night. So that was through the raffle and stuff that we take on the door. So our club literally lost money on it. So it was never a case of making money.
Yeah.
But so there's at least a charity's done well out of that as well. So good on the club for that as well. So next week, Paul's in Rosie O'Grady's with the Perth CSC and the Mandurah CSC. So that's Saturday the 18th of April. I think it's 8 o'clock, and I believe you did the same as us. In fact, you copied our posters and everything, you cheeky bastards.
Aye, nice bit of copying. They were nice posters though, Pat. Thank you.
They were nice posters, actually. I was really quite proud of them, actually. It took me a little while to make them up. That was a bit third draft good as well, so I was quite happy with that.
They were good, mate.
I think you guys are doing the same thing. $5 for CSC members and $10 for non-members.
For non-members,
which is what we did.
Right.
So.
Yep.
But again, Rosie O'Grady's in Northbridge,
in Perth. That's right, and it should be good. And I think there's a bit of music on there as well. I'm pretty sure. And it'll be a good night. And Paul there'll be the documentary and the Q&A as well, and a bit of some tunes. But what I was going to say as well for Mandurah, I've still to get this approved by our members, but depending how many we take, it might be free for our members. The club might cover it anyway, but we'll certainly pay the price. But yeah, any Mandurah CSE ones might be covered by the club for that, including transport.
Credit to the guys in our club as well. That we had the option of, if you were a paid up member, you could buy tickets for $5. You could pay the $10, and most people paid the $10. Just the fact that the money was going to that charity. So fair dues to the Jock Scene CSC guys, and it was good
play.
Putting the money in their pocket as well. So if a little bit helps, you know what I mean. So proud of them for that.
Good stuff. So as you said, Paul, he's doing his Brisbane gig as we speak. Actually, he'll be there doing that just now, probably doing his Q&A, as you say, and then getting half smeeked.
Yep.
And then on to Sydney, and then looking forward to his arrival in Perth next week.
Sydney is going to be an experience for him, and because Sydney have literally landed on their feet, and I'm pissed off that we didn't take that date now because they've got
the game right after
skiers. Yeah, after the skiers, and then right after they've got the Celtic Inverness game. So
you wouldn't have known at the time, though. That's the
we
thing.
Didn't know.
See, we've got a cup game on the albeit it's the night after it, mind you, as well. But should be a good weekend next weekend for all things Celtic in Perth. That's for sure.
Indeed, happy days.
All good. Right, guys, we better wrap it up there anyway. I'm glad we covered that as well. But yeah, thanks again, Liam. Thank you for your time and contribution tonight. As ever, mate.
As always, boys.
All good, mate. And Martin, thank you as well, sir.
That's cool, mate. Thanks, man.
And Patrick, as always, hail, boys.
Yes, well, we'll try and catch up in a couple of weeks' time, maybe 2-3 weeks' time.
Sounds reasonable to me.
We'll have known the sort of the cup scores and all that sort of stuff as well. So, and I think what we'll do, just I guess significance of the song, and most people will probably have heard it by now, but we'll play out with the Joe McKenna song "We Still Won," which is the one thing I do remember, Kev, is that sort of last 10-15 minutes of it, there's a whole sort of build up to something at the end of it, and then this song plays at the end, and it's it kind of goose pimples a little bit at the end of it, but it was got a big round of applause at our place, so well done, Joe McKenna. So
I hope you've asked Joe for the copyright rights to play this at the end of our podcast.
He'll be right.
He won't mind. It's for the Kano Foundation, isn't it?
It is. I'm sure still get it on iTunes. I should actually. I don't have iTunes. I don't even know what to search for. I'm not an Apple person, but I believe you can still get it on iTunes. I'm sure it's just
We Still Won. I'm sure it's just We Still Won.
Yeah, I think you have to search for Joe McKenna, and then We Still Won. But anyway, that's what we'll play out with. So
all good. And thanks to 6'2" Kangaroo, Ulster Jack, at the Big
Boy, especially Connor.
Boy,
oh, by the way,
Connor
just
G.
a very quick one. Connor said that
Brian Byrne.
Connor did do that picture. He did make he did make himself, and he said if the ginger hair's too much, then he'll change it. It was
the ginger hair on the goalkeeper looks quite ginger.
Gingery.
But maybe that's what his hair was like anyway. I don't know.
That would have to have been dyed, but no. Connor will get it sorted. If you do, Connor, get it sorted. Fire it through again and we'll retweet it. It's a cracking picture, mate. You should do something with it. Don't send it to plebs like us. Actually do something with it, buddy. Anyway,
very good. Right, guys, we'll leave it at that. Hail.
Hail, hail.
Thanks, boys.
Deception and sin by the people in suits holding whistles and flutes. And with these type of people, there's no time for truth. They got money, prestige, riches galore, and they're against everything that we've been fighting for. And they're wanting to crush us cause they love a war. And if the media like them, they might get paid more. But these people, they tend to get carried away. And the proof is the fact that we stand here today. No matter what you said, what you done, you thought you were the people and we were the scum. You had every advantage under the sun, and this blood will run in the sons of our sons. We saw your culture of handshakes, pillars and peers as you plundered your way through those asterisk years. We heard nothing but venom ring in our ears. From the papers to airwaves, it's all engineered to send out a message so loud and so clear. You don't like our type around here, but everything isn't as it appears. Under the surface, the real profiteers can do no more hiding the reckoning's here. Swapping succulent lime now for crocodile tears. No matter what you said, what you done, you thought you were the people and we were the scum. You had every advantage under the sun, and this blood will run in the sons of our sons. Despite all the pain, and taking more than you need, and everybody can say so history waits. No matter what you said, what you done, you thought you were the people and we were the scum. You had every advantage under the sun, and this blood will run in the sons of our sons.